Yasodhanandana Brajajanarajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Brajajanarajana Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radhamadavo Kunja Bihari Jaya Radhamadava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pariviraj Sri Mati Dhanisani Svami Grace Sri Bhakti Sarati Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Iskon Guru Vrinda Ki Jai Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 10th chapter, Divisions of the Creation, text number 11. Maitreya Uvacha Guna Vyatikara Karo Nirvishesho Pratishtitah Purushastat Upadanam Atmanam Lilaya Srajat Maitre Uvacha Gunavyatikkarakaro Nirvishesho Pratishtitah Purushasthadupadanam Atmanam Lilaya Srijat. Karakaro Nirvishesho Pratishtitah Pushat Upadanam Karakaro Nirvishesho Pratishtitah Karakaro Nirvishesho Pratishtitah Shastarupadanam Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Guna Vyatikara, of the interactions of the modes of material nature. Akaraha, source. Nirvisheshaha, without diversity. Apratishtitaha, unlimited. Purushaha, of the Supreme Person. Tat, that. Upadanam, instrument. Atma, Lilaya, by pastimes. Asrijat, created. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are we online? Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for His pastimes in the material creation. Purport. The impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestation as the instrument of the Supreme Lord. It is the ingredient of existence offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends, and it is time only which can keep record of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material manifestation. This time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self-expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. The time factor is also explained by modern men in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated therein
God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. Metaphysically, time is distinguished as absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Factually, however, time has nothing to do with the relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of the facility offered by time. Time is the basic measurement of the activity of our senses, by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. Pandit Chanakya says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars, and therefore even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as the greatest loss in life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments objective realities in themselves, but they are dependent on particular experiences. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord himself. And that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation. Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this conclusion as follows: Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Somebody knows the translation by heart? Well, we got the exact translation right here in the book. So 1 second. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction of Sanakunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Maitre uvacha gunavyatikkarakaro nirvishesho pratishtitaha purushastat upadhanam atmanam lilaya srijat. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. Om Ajnanatimarandasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamhayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripadamaham vande Sri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. The blessings of all the Vaishnavas. Vidura is asking important questions to Maitreya Muni. He wants to hear about Krishna's pastimes, yet for the benefit of all conditioned souls, he's first asking questions related to the Lord's creation, maintenance, and destruction, to the Lord's wonderful potencies. In this way, the living entities will have a proper frame of reference, a proper frame of mind by which they will be able to appreciate the pastimes of the Lord. If we're not ready to hear, then even if we may have the greatest teacher, we'll not be able to appreciate. I met a man on Market and Powell in San Francisco, and I showed him the book, and he said, I know this man. I met him. And I said, very unlikely, he passed away, 77. He said, I'm from New York. I was there in 26 Second Avenue, and when I walked in, this was late 60s, or around 67, he said, they mentioned that the Swami is upstairs. So we went upstairs to Prabhupada's room, and he said that I walked in, and he was sitting at a low desk, and he was doing some writing, some work, and he sat down and he was quiet, and he said it was perfect. He didn't talk, and I didn't talk. And for 40 minutes, there was silence, because he knew that I knew that he knew. That's San Francisco, okay? Gives you an idea. So, and then he motioned to his assistant, he gave me some fruit, and I left. So the man had to wait for 50 years to get a chant and be happy, and to ceremoniously hand over his $1 before he could actually get a glimpse of Prabhupada's teachings. Why? Because he was not ready to hear. So time is a representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is atomic time, which is calculated by how long it takes for the sun to move the distance of one atom. That's atomic time. And then, of course, we have the time of Lord Brahma. His lifespan is 311 trillion years, which is kind of unbelievable from our perspective. And we know that all the universes are simply emanating from Mahavishnu's pores, and again being absorbed into the body of the Lord, and that is the universal time. So Krishna's time scale and our time scale quite different, so to speak. One time Srila Prabhupada was asked, how long did it take you to perfect your japa, your chanting? And he could have said, look, I mean, I was playing with Krishna, with the Kara boys, and we're, throwing lunch bags around and doing stuff. Or I was born in a family of pure devotees, or I did this since forever I can remember. But what did Srila Prabhupada say? 40 years, 40 years. To show to us that it may take a little more than just, a weekend retreat or, the premium version with the t-shirt. It might take a little more effort to actually perfect this practice. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains about the nature of time, which is an impersonal manifestation of the Lord. And it is an aggregate, it is an ingredient that helps for the creation and the destruction of things as we know in this world. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, time I am, kalos me, and I am the destroyer of all the worlds. Everything will be destroyed in due course of time. So, therefore, because Krishna is time, to waste time is considered a great loss, a great anomaly. Therefore, the Vedic scriptures continuously remind us that atato brahma jigyasa, now is the time to inquire about the true nature of the self. Ataha, it means now, right now. Whenever that now might be, that's right now. That's when you should inquire. So, devotees are very cautious not to waste time. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita, verse number 3, he tells us, what does he tell us? Utsaha nishchayat dharyat. Says you should be enthusiastic, endeavor with confidence, and you should be patient. So, sometimes we're very enthusiastic, we're very fired up to get something done. And we may even endeavor with confidence, knowing fully well that it can be done, Krishna willing. Yet patience, where does patience come in? Okay, patience is a virtue, and it is often misunderstood. Srila Prabhupada, he met his spiritual master just after he was married and had one child. And his Gurudev gave him the instruction that you should preach this Krishna consciousness in the English-speaking language. It will be good for you and it will be good for others. Yet it took Srila Prabhupada many decades before he could actually execute, fully manifest that order. That requires patience. That requires patience. It is said that if you have 1 year time, you grow rice. If you have 10 years time, you grow coconuts or olives, depends on where you're from. And if you have 100 years time, then you grow people, because that's as long as it takes. Yet Srila Prabhupada stayed up every night for several hours to write these law books for the next 10,000 years, because that's his vision, that's his time scale that he was concerned about. Not about, oh, I'm going to lose a couple of hours of sleep, or, it's going to be a lot of work. Or he came here in 1965 with a few books, the first 3 volumes of the first canto. And practically speaking, till 1972, correct me if I'm wrong, there wasn't really much happening as far as a worldwide movement. It was a few centers, it was a few people, it was rented houses, it was a lot of struggle. By 72, the movement was quite expanded and established, and from 72 to 77, for 5 years, Prabhupada actually saw the success of his movement in his last 5 years. Srila Prabhupada also went to Moscow in 71, and he spent 5 days there, talked to one professor, one Indian kid, some person, young person, Anatoly. Yet when he walked in Moscow State University, he looked over the city and he said there will be 100,000 devotees in this city. That's the vision of the pure devotee. That's the vision of the Acharya. So that requires patience, and it also requires that firm resolve that Krishna's plan will be executed. And I am ready to play whichever role is required. When Sanatana Goswami came to Puri, he had traveled through the jungles. He had to fast. He had to drink water that was contaminated. His body was itching with many sores. And thus he decided that let me go to Puri and let me give up this useless body in the presence of Lord Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that will be the perfection of my life. And in this way I will attain the best destination. Yet Mahaprabhu taught him, and through him, all of us, that you have to be patient. And he told him that how can you try to destroy something that's not yours? You have already surrendered. You're already given your body to me. So he is asking Haridas Thakur, what kind of a person is this? He's trying to destroy someone else's property. It's not proper. So Sanatana understood that his resolve to relinquish his body was not appreciated by the Lord. The Lord said, I have many plans to execute through you, through your body. I want you to go to Vrindavan, excavate holy places, write books, and teach by your own example what is the life of a devotee. How does a Vaishnav live, especially one in the renounced order of life? And Sanatana Goswami did that. He wrote Brihad Bhagavatamrita and Hari Bhakti Vilas and so many other books, excavated holy places, temples manifested, because he had firm faith in the instruction of his spiritual master. So the plan, Krishna's plan, becomes revealed according to the degree of our surrender. In the purport to 9:10, this verse of the Bhagavad Gita that Srila Prabhupada quotes at the end of the purport. They're actually in the, I'm sorry, I'm mistaken, in the Upadeshamrita, in the purport to the verse that we quoted, Utsahani Shad Daryat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangotyaga Satovrite Saktir Bhaktir Prasidati, Srila Prabhupada writes that to endeavor with confidence and to be patient, he gives the example of a girl who is just newly married. He says that if she has conviction and if she surrenders to her husband, in due course of time, she will have progeny. But she has to be patient. It does not happen instantaneously in a moment. So in a similar way, we come to this Krishna conscious movement, and sometimes people are a little impatient. They think, okay, okay, give me some monk talk here, okay? Give me something that really makes a difference in my life right now. Do people ever ask you that on the street, right? They say, okay, give me all you got right now, one moment, right? And then if I get the buzz, then I might buy your book or whatever. But it is not so cheap. It is not something that you can just drop the magic pill and everything manifests. It is a gradual process. It is a progressive path. And for that, it requires patience to execute. If there's no patience, then very unlikely that we will succeed. So right now, many of us here are still young, others are middle-aged, others are getting elderly. So time is not a linear thing. It goes in cycles, and Krishna can expand or contract time, as he's showing in his pastimes, that one night became a night of Brahma. And sometimes time that is seemingly short becomes long, or time that is seemingly endless becomes shortened. That is all in Krishna's purview. That is all in his potency. So the more we cooperate with Krishna's plan by surrendering to the instructions of the spiritual master, the more we will actually roll on Krishna's time scale. And that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? So it's not anymore like, is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? But we're just there, experiencing it to the fullest. I was at Ann Arbor at the art festival, the biggest in the country, thousands of artists and hundreds of thousands of visitors. And I just went up to the artists to share the message of Bhagavad Gita with them and said, this is for all the conscious artists who want to make a difference through their art, and handed them books. And many were very appreciative. One lady from Lithuania, she got very emotional. She said, when I was a young girl, I had many existential questions and a lot of difficulties in my life, but Bhagavad Gita answered all my questions, my queries. But then when I was 16, my parents decided to migrate to the United States. And I had to leave behind me my books, my art, my friends, my life. And I had to start all over again from scratch with nothing. I know some of you may feel like that now, because some of us are immigrants to this country. So she said, now 35 years later, I'm an established artist. And the same book that made a difference in my life back then comes back to me. So I'm very grateful for that. And she took all the books that I had and contributed. So Krishna is time, and the more we cooperate in the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we will be able to join him in the Nitya Lila, in his pastime that is continuously going on as we speak. It is unfolding, and we will not be exposed to the inadequacies, to the abrasive nature of material energy, which is continuously destroying, grinding up things, and manifesting things in different configurations. Hare Krishna. We got time for some questions or discussions. Yes, Ram Roy Prabhu. We have a mic here.
I forget where it is, but Prabhupada says in one place, for the devotees engaged in this Krishna consciousness movement, there is no question of uncertainty in relation to what you're saying.
Thank you. There is no question of uncertainty. So if ever you're doubtful, there's a saying, he who hesitates is lost. So whenever you're doubtful, remember that. If we endeavor with honest means, trying to execute the mission of the spiritual master, Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Don't worry, I got you covered. Everything will be fine. You may not get what you want, but you will certainly get what you need, if that's okay. I think it is. Because Krishna is responsive. Krishna is responding to the calling and to the needs of his devotees, not to his wants, because like a loving parent is not excited by the wants of their children, but is certainly capable and more than willing to fulfill the needs of their children. So Krishna knows what's best for us, and he's giving us whatever is best for us. So empowerment will come to the degree of our surrender. Give yourself the time to grow up in Krishna consciousness. Don't think everything has to happen right now. Like whenever I go out with other devotees, there's always somebody who comes and says, okay, what's the secret sauce? Okay, like give me the secret mix, how does it work? And then they kind of watch me for, 5 or 7 seconds. And they think, okay, now I figured it out, I just do like this and like that, and then it's a secret handshake, right? And then boom, that money, that 20 just comes jumping out of his wallet, and I just have to catch it. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. What happens Monday morning when the party's over, and who's going to take out the trash and clean up and, build things up from the scratch and get into the muck and start digging the foundation. That's what Krishna wants to see. We should not be fair weather devotees, that we only show up when things are going great. So yes, Krishna consciousness is an ongoing festival, but there are different types of flavors in this festival. And the more we develop this acquired taste of sweet surrender, like there's sweet and sour, there's sweet surrender. The more we will be able to join in and become empowered by Krishna's potency. Yes, Ramar Prabhu.
Another angle, but in the same frame, the difference between Shreyas and Preyas, Shreya Uttamam.
Thank you for bringing up this point. That's why we have this discussion. Shreyas and Preyas, there is the immediate benefit. Sugar water still sells, if you haven't noticed, it's still in high demand. Have you ever seen people walking down the street with some kind of cup with some liquid in it? And most likely there's a good percentage of sugar in it, and they have paid good amount of money for it, and they're very confident that this will, make them happy. That's the immediate sensual satisfaction. Yeah, the long term requires some effort. It requires some diligence. It requires some consistent effort that has to be pursued in order to achieve that. It's called playing the long game. And that's not on my terms, it's on Krishna's terms. Because that door, you can knock on it, but it opens when it opens from the other side. It's not in our ability. You can't just storm into the spiritual world. It doesn't work like that. Yet we know from our acharyas that if we endeavor with confidence and we cooperate, then we will gain the favor and the attraction of Krishna's devotees. And when they say, hey, what about him? Give him some mercy. And Krishna feels inclined. Just like when baby Krishna got bound up by Mother Yasoda, and he was kind of puzzled. He was kind of chuckling that, he's being bound by the love of his devotees. And he's dragging this mortar around the courtyard. And then he went and he knocked down these Yamalarjun trees. And he said, I have nothing to do with these two fellows. But because Narad Muni, my devotee, gave them the blessings that sometime in the future you will meet Krishna, he said, okay, I'll take care of business. I'll take care of that. So Krishna is very kind. He is subservient to the desires, to the wishes of his pure devotees. That's why it's so important that we study Srila Prabhupada's teachings and we internalize them, we absorb them through application, by going out and serving the mission, by doing something practical. It's not good enough to just say, yeah, I'm a devotee, I got initiated and, I'm doing 4 of these and 16 of that and this and that and the other thing. But whenever people say, yeah, I'm a, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever, then I ask them, so what's your practice? And then they look at me like, there is a practice? Don't you see, I'm wearing my thing here, I go, no, you're supposed to do something. And of course, there's also a few things that are not so great. You should try to avoid. But that comes later. So, and they're always surprised. They're always surprised because that's why Srila Prabhupada translated bhakti as devotional service. It's not just an emotion, a feeling. Just like divine love. Yeah. There has to be action. Without action, what's the point? If you don't bring the milk home, then where's the love? So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada, very mercifully, he has given us lifetimes of service. He has given us ample opportunity. Srila Prabhupada also said that your love for me will be shown in as much as you cooperate together. Now, usually we know that he said, how you cooperate once I'm gone. Most of our spiritual masters are still here, but the non-cooperation movement has already started, even while the gurus are still here. Normally, the tradition is you wait till the guru leaves and then you start your non-cooperation movement. Not while the guru is still here, because it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of annoying to the guru when he sees that his children are already fighting and they're divisive and they start doing all kinds of weird things. So usually the culture is you wait till the parents or the guru leave and then you do any damn thing you want. So we have to be careful not to fall into this trap, because service means to please. Otherwise, what's the point? Kim karo. What can I do? What is the order? How can I please? That is the servant's attitude, not what can I get from you? What can I take from you? How can I exploit you? In this material world, we know whenever somebody comes and praises you, you know immediately there's a hook, right? Immediately there's a hook. Oh, you're so great. And by the way, yeah. Then comes the bill, right? Then comes the dagger. So, but a servant is simply interested in pleasing his master. And he knows fully well that the master has got my best interest at heart. He will not exploit me. He's interested in my benefit. He's looking out for me. He's maintaining me. He's giving me what I need. Just like when Sanatan escaped prison by the help of the indication of his brother Rupa and of the money that was left at some grocer. Then he was at that inn and he handed over the remaining gold coins to the innkeeper, asking him to liberate him from the danger of being killed for a few gold coins. And then he told his servant Ishan, I believe you have one gold coin left. Because Ishan said, I have 7 gold coins. But the innkeeper's astrologer knew that there was 8 gold coins. So,
Take your gold coin and return to your home.
Yes, take your gold coin and return to your home. And that is the same instruction that we have to give to anybody that feels like, why am I here? Why am I, not getting what I want or what I deserve or what I need? Take your gold coin and go home and be prosperous and multiply. When the gopis understood that Krishna's intention for leaving them was to draw out more love, was to bring them to the greatest height of transcendental devotion and madness and ecstasy in separation, they became ecstatic. They became very proud and very pleased. They became exceedingly happy. So to do service for service sake is a great blessing, is a great benediction. And we have this opportunity. We have this opportunity. That doesn't mean that we will run ourselves and others into the ground, because that's not a sustainable approach to bhakti. But it means that we are understanding the teachings and we know how to apply them in our situation. So we're very fortunate to be here in this holy place at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada, where a lot of transcendental pastimes have occurred, and to walk the same streets that Srila Prabhupada walked. You can still get the whiff. You can still feel it. It's just a few moments. Just like when you go to holy places, you can still feel that atmosphere, that special pastimes that took place. It's just been a few moments. Sometimes people have the idea that all the cool stuff already happened pre-77 or 72 or 68 or whichever group you're in. They have a different cutoff date where stuff was not cool anymore after that. It all got old. But we understand Pibatta Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhurmuho Bhuvibhavuka, that through parampara it becomes sweeter and sweeter the more devotees have tasted this. There's this idea of I have to go direct, right? Cut out the middleman, right? Get rid of all those people who take their commission. But in bhakti, the more remote you are, the more removed you are, the more mercy you get. Because you get the realization, the mercy, and the empowerment and the blessings of all the other Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he rejected Kala Krishna Das because he fell victim to some gypsy women. Yet the devotees were so merciful that they found a service for him. They asked Mahaprabhu, can we send somebody to Navadvip to tell Mother Sachi, your mother, and the devotees that you've returned from your pilgrimage? And he said, do as you please. And guess what? They did not ban Kala Krishna Das, but they gave him service. They gave him service. And he was sent to Navadvip to bring prasad and the happy message of the Lord's return. So When we study Bhagavatam, when we study Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see this is relevant, this is impactful, this is meaningful. There's not just some, tales from times long gone. No, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is the living force. It means it's alive. And it comes to life more and more by the collaborative effort of the devotees. Just like a couple of days ago in Washington Square Park, there was a roaring kirtan going on. There was 3 book tables and the holy name, and the books were flying in all directions. And even though there was a whole lot of other stuff going on also, people had no choice, but they became affected by the potency. And I always overhear people when they say, hey, the Hare Krishnas are back. The Hare Krishnas are back. I'm glad the Hare Krishnas are back. We were down in Philly having a little gathering in Rittenhouse Square. And Hari Ashran, a few of his men came out, and some devotees from the temple, Drona and a few devotees came out, and Kopa and myself were distributing. And I overheard some people saying, it's good to see that the Hare Krishnas are back in Rittenhouse Square. For them, that's kind of like, hey, the world's still in order, okay? Like, you look out the window after the war blew over, and then you see one bird flying by, and you go like, oh, the birds are still out there. It's safe to go out. So we have this opportunity, and obviously, New York, the most important city on the planet, the whole world is watching, and everybody goes through here. So it is a great inheritance. Daya Bhak. This inheritance is a labor of love. It is a responsibility, and it is also a privilege, a great gift, a great asset. So to treat it in such a way requires our appreciation. Otherwise, we'll come to a point where we think, why has my guru left me with this great burden? This great burden of having to worship the deities, of having to preach, of having to distribute books. Why has he left me with this great burden? And then we think, dogs run free. Why can't we? There's many doors. And so, we go out there, and then what? Then we again become a victim of the modes of material nature and of our uncontrolled senses, which will force us to act in very, very degrading ways. In Sweden, there was one devotee, and he just couldn't tolerate 2 things in the ashram. Number one, to get up before 4 o'clock. He thought that's just not human. That's just not acceptable. It's just insane. And the second thing, no toilet paper. He could not accept. That was just not fitting in. So he decided, I'm a free person. So he just left. And then as a free person, he had to go and get a job to pay for his apartment. So he's there working on his job, driving a forklift, and they put him on the night shift. So one morning at 1 a.m., he had an epiphany. You know what an epiphany is? It's when the lights go on, You get it. It's like, I get it now. Okay. And he almost fell off the forklift. He thought, I don't want to get up at 4. And now it's 1 a.m. and he's already been working for 5 hours. And he was in a warehouse, because in Scandinavia, there's a lot of tree and a lot of, wood processing. So that warehouse was filled with toilet paper. So he was driving a forklift, moving around pallets of toilet paper. And he said, I've already been working for 5 hours and it's just 1 a.m. My shift isn't over yet. And I am surrounded by toilet paper. And he just walked off the forklift, walked out of the warehouse and went back to the temple and said, okay, I'll get up at 4. Okay, no toilet paper. I got it. Krishna wins. So Krishna has a unique sense of irony. that he knows how to rub it in. That's why we worship Krishna, because he has a unique sense of humor. And his perception of time and our perception of time may be different. It depends on how much we surrender and how much we cooperate with Krishna's desire. Would you rather be on Krishna's time scale, or on Brahma's time scale, or on the time scale of an ant or a cockroach or a mosquito, or in our own concocted, time scale? So that little bit of freedom of choice is always there. That is always given to us. Use your time wisely. Right now, it may seem like it's forever, like stuff is not moving. We're not going anywhere. It's just, I'm still in the same place. I'm still running in circles. But we don't realize that we're actually making spiritual advancement just by being in this environment, just by hearing Krishna Katha, just by chanting Hare Krishna, taking Bhagavad Prasadam. We're making tangible spiritual advancement. Srila Prabhupada said that the philosophers and the Mayavadis, they argue and they discuss so many things, but we are going back to Godhead simply by dropping this sweet ball in our mouth. So just by taking Krishna Prasadam, you can become liberated. But then we may become affected by other ideas, by other types of desires. And we may develop a mentality which is critical, a mentality which is hostile. And then Krishna may put us in the icebox. Like in hockey, they put you in the icebox. They say, okay, 2 minutes or 5 minutes, sit in there. Or they send you to the showers if you really mess up. So he may put somebody temporarily aside because of creating too much friction. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for your class, Prabhuji. I have a doubt, and for maybe you could address it. I've asked a few really good book distributors what's their secret, if there's any techniques that they could teach me.
You got to speak closer to the mic.
I've asked a few really good book distributors in our movement, like for some techniques with book distribution. And a lot of the time,
what was that with the techniques?
Techniques for book distribution. And a lot of the time I get the answer where the devotees say, oh, it's not about techniques, it's about Krishna's mercy, how good your sadhana is. Or they'll say, yeah, how good your sadhana is, how good your morning program is, or Krishna's mercy. But then the same book distributors, they use like charity lines. So if that's the case, why do they use charity lines when it's down, the book self and themselves, it's down to Krishna's mercy? Like I've heard so many senior devotees that are meant to that say, oh yeah, it's not down to techniques. And then they use so many techniques themselves. And even
they once asked Srila Prabhupada how to teach book distribution. He said, don't teach them techniques, just teach them to be sincere. And then he pointed to his heart. Then the Lord in the heart will teach them. Krishna will teach you all the genius. I can teach you techniques all day and all night, but it will be meaningless if you don't have the right attitude. Like if you're impatient, you want a quick result, you want this immediately. People can sense that you're impatient, and they sense that something is wrong. Because if a person is impatient, but is claiming to be a monk, to be peaceful, to be a spiritual person, but at the same time they're impatient, it's kind of a contradiction. Would you agree? It's kind of a contradiction. That's why sometimes people, before they give the money, they look at you, and then they look at the book, and then they look at you, and they look at the book, and they look at you. And if the two don't match, it's no go. You say, no, you're fake. I know this is the real deal, but you're fake. How can they know? Krishna's in their heart. Krishna will tell them. Now you may say, well, you're telling me Krishna is telling him not to take the book? Yes, exactly. That's what I'm telling you. Now, why? Well, you may say, hey, like I'm working so hard. I'm really trying to be a good boy here. I'm doing the best I can. And Krishna is telling them not to take the book. He's working against me. Why doesn't he go out and sell his own books? Why does he embarrass me in the process? Because Krishna loves you. Krishna wants us to become purified. He wants us to get the credit. He wants us to have this opportunity for service. Krishna loves us so much that he knows exactly what we need. So it's not about techniques. And you were mentioning, charity lines, this line, that line. You can use many different techniques or tools. You can say the wrong thing in a right way and it will have the right result. Or you can say the right thing in a wrong way and it will have a bad result, a bad effect. Did you get it? Do you understand? I can go out and say, this is the greatest book, the greatest knowledge, the truth and the light. And if you don't follow this, you'll go to hell. It's true. But because the attitude, the mood in which it is conveyed is off, is not Krishna conscious, most likely the person will not take the book and appreciate the message. And sometimes we go up to somebody and we go, please. And the person says, oh, you're a nice boy. Yeah. I'll help you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, what do you want? 10? Is 10 enough? Can I give you 20? Okay. And you go like, what just happened? Has this ever happened to you? Has this ever happened to you? Okay. So Krishna is in your heart and he will guide you and you got your own genius. So try not to photocopy others because it doesn't work that way. Also criticizing others. People say what they want to say. Most of them have not been trained properly, even some who are old-time distributors. Sometimes people may use a crutch. They may use some charity lines. In the old days, it was quite popular, especially in certain countries, to work with certain crutches. But eventually, we should understand, we should just depend on Krishna. Krishna is there in the heart of every living entity. Krishna sent people to Rupa and Sanatan. They did not go out and fundraise. There were people who just came and said, hey, can I build you a temple? Well, yeah, okay, why? Sure. I have a friend, he was in Shanghai train station, biggest train station in the world. And one man asked him, he's a Croatian boy, he'd been there for 10 years, doesn't speak the language really well. Very dangerous place, CCTV, cameras, cops, military, secret agents, all kinds of stuff going on. Arrested multiple times. And they always asked him, what are you doing here? And he said, I have a Chinese wife and I need to make money to maintain her. And because he was honest and they thought, okay, he just needs to make money, big deal. Okay, not here, get out. They kicked him out. So one man asked him, what is this? And he said, this is the best books. I want to share this knowledge. It will help the Chinese people. It's about values and spiritual philosophy and how to really uplift society. The man looked at the book and he examined it and he gave him $50,000. He just handed him the bag with 50 grand right there in the train station. And he sponsored 100 sets. Chinese set is $500. So he sponsored 100 sets. And then that devotee sent him pictures of all the librarians and all the people who got the sets with their testimonials and also the receipts of the shipping. So he gave him a full account, very, So the man was so impressed by his honesty and delivering the goods that he said, okay, another 100 sets for Hong Kong, another 100 sets for Taiwan. He sponsored 800 sets. He donated $400,000 for book distribution. Why? Because he saw this person is for real. He's actually doing what he's saying he's doing. Huh? So that's important. That's important. One friend of mine told me the story that he, and I'll close with this because it's Monday morning and we got things to do, that he was asked to come to America. He was then in Argentina to serve as spiritual master. So he went to the embassy and he went in pant and shirt and they refused him. So he came back the next day in Dodi and Kurta and he demanded to speak to the ambassador at the American embassy in Buenos Aires. So the lady came, kind of young, and she said, yeah, what would you like? And he said, yesterday, one of your less intelligent bureaucrats rejected my visa application. Very little did he know that I need to go to America to serve my spiritual master. He's ill right now. I can nurse him back to life. And I've traveled with him all over South America. So she asked him, so you're not going to stay there? He said, no, we're missionaries. We always travel, go there on my project. I come back. She said, okay, I'll give you the visa. And then as she got up from the table, and this is the Prabhupada moment, she leaned over and under her breath, she said, because there was diplomats and Marines, because she's the top dog in the country. She's the top person. She said, I read Prabhupada's Gita. And he took a Lilamrita out of his bag and he kind of slid it under the table, you know, he kind of gave her the Lilamrita. Now you may ask, if she already read the Gita, why did she do all this interrogation business? Why do people who want spiritual knowledge ask you all these questions? Oh, are you following? How long have you been doing this? Are you really doing this? Are you really a monk? Huh? Are you really a monk? Why are people asking all these questions? Not just as a diplomat, but as any sincere person, they want to make sure that we are who we say we are. That's why people ask. And that's why you can't fake it. You can't fake empathy. And you can't make stuff up. Yeah, you can tell people we're coming from over here and we're going over there. Give me the money and buy. And it works. And we have done it. Many of us. For a few too many times, right? But after a while, you start looking at yourself and you go like, is this what I joined for? Is this what I should be doing in my life? I don't think so. Ultimately, it's really not so much about what you say, but it's really about what is my intention? What is my purpose? And then to also make sure that our presentation is actually authentic, that it actually reflects our process and the things that we do. So therefore, we have courses. Those courses are mandatory for those who go out full time. I know many have not taken them for various reasons. So we should take time to become educated. Otherwise, if our theology, our legislation, and our practice are three different things, we are very inconsistent. People will say, you're not very consistent, you're not very productive. Or they may even call us hypocrites because we're not really following our own line. We can discuss more later on. Thank you for your kind attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Grantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai.